No doubt about it.
You're going to be famous.
That's that's funny that you use that word. I was listening to a video before going live here, and one of the points, it was a guy by name of Rory Sutherland. Man, hard to say that name, but one of the
Yeah.
points he was making was that I don't know if he was saying half of marketing or half of advertising is simply being famous. Um, Splitting hairs there. Anyway, it's the top of the hour, and we're going to get right into it. I am live streaming on every known platform on the internet for the first time ever for these masterminds. You can find it all over the place. And if you want to join us live in the Zoom room, the link to the Zoom meeting should be wherever you're watching it. Some of you are already in here, obviously. But if you want to come hang out, more interactive experience, it should be in there. Or you can go to growwithjosh.com/mm. Growwithjosh.com/mm. Come on over to the Zoom room. And today, the topic is inbound versus outbound cash offer request leads. Okay. So, how to generate motivated sellers using outbound or cold outreach versus warm inbound. And we're going to break down the differences and how I'm turning both of those into listings and closings, how to convert them. The conversion process is wildly different, and I'll explain why and how. I'm going to give real examples. I've actually prepared a little bit. I've got a presentation. Real examples of conversations literally yesterday from cold outbound and from warm inbound. I have an appointment tomorrow that was a warm inbound motivated seller lead. It came in last night. I called him. I have an appointment tomorrow to check out the property. I'll explain exactly what that looked like and how the conversation went. I'll also share the cold outreach or the outbound strategies that I've been using and examples of conversations and appointments that have come from that. For example, one appointment, a lead responded yesterday. We had a phone appointment earlier this morning, and I don't think he's going to sell until after the new year, but he's going to sell, and I'm going to be the guy. We'll see. I mean, I think so. Here's how this relates to last week's training. Last week, I shared my 5-step plan for 50 closings in 2026 without a big ad budget. No, in fact, no ad budget. And if that is you, like if that resonates with you, whether you watched last week or you missed it, you can go back and check out the replay of that in the free school community, Leads, Listings, Leverage. The replay of that is in there and the resources mentioned. Here's how this relates to that one, specifically for me in my business. These two things combined. So the plan from last week and what I'm sharing today are how I'm going to hit triple digits in closings in 2026. Me personally, combining the two. You don't need both. I'm telling you 100%. Just with what was shared last week, you can do 50, you can close 50 deals in 2026. I'm as sure as that as anything. Is it work? 1,000% it's work. Do you have to be skilled? 1,000% you have to be skilled. But all you got to do is get started. And I'm telling you, go check that out. And if you're like my buddy Oren, I don't know if Oren's watching right now, but Oren, an investor agent in, I think, the Chicagoland area. I'm pretty sure that's where. We were DMing earlier this week, and he brought up that he'd been doing more on the investor side, but wanted to do more transactions as an agent. And I said, well, I've got a plan for you. And I shared the plan, the replay of last week. And his immediate response was, man, 60 minutes? I got to watch 60 minutes of you? And I was like, look, I get it. I get it. So he inspired me to create a very short, it's like 8 or 9 minutes breakdown of that plan. So if you're like Oren and you just want the Cliff's Notes, like you just want to dip your toe in and see what it is, I have a shorter version of that. Just DM me or text me. My number should be on the screen here somewhere, 717-571-0456. I'll send you the short version of that. You can kind of dip your toe in. But these two things combined, that's how I'm going to do 100 transactions personally in 2026. And if Shay, I don't know if Shay's in here, but Shay and I, yeah, man. So when Shay and I were first chatting about him partnering up and coming on over to EXP years ago, that 100 transactions was a conversation that we had, and it took me long enough. But you and I, we're getting the triple digits in 2026. All right, and here's how I'm doing it. Okay, combining these two things. All right. So before we get into the differences and how to convert them, let's define some terms here. And I want some audience participation. And you can put in the chat, James, if you can monitor the chat for me, or you can open your line. What types of cold outbound or cold outreach are there? Like how might you do cold outreach to generate motivated seller leads? No right or wrong answers here. We're just trying to define some terms and make sure that everybody, that we're on the sort of the same page with that. In 1 second here. My nose is running. Nobody? Come on. We got to have some here. What are some cold outreach strategies? In fact, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to type them in. I even made a little text box here so I can let's go. What do you got? Circle prospecting. All right. Thank you, Joseph. Shay, what's that? GeoFarm. You guys are getting fancy. I was thinking way more simplistic than this, but go ahead. Sorry, Reynaldo, and then there was somebody else. It might have been Isabel.
Yeah,
Senior downsizing. Okay. Who else?
It's
calling expireds. Okay. Who else? Anybody else? What's that?
Isabel put in there for sale by owner.
For sale by owner. Probates. Distressed properties. What's that?
Divorce files.
Divorce. By the way, you guys, this is why I love audience participation. This is why I love audience participation. Here's what I meant by this. But all of these answers are great. Here's what I meant by this. Cold outreach can happen really in only one of several fashions. Calling, texting, emailing, direct mail, or DM. That's what I was going for, but these answers are wonderful. I was more looking at the modalities. What's that?
Would you consider just dropping by and door knocking cold outreach too?
I would, but I would never, ever participate in that personally. Okay. But yes, door knocking would be cold outreach, right? Just randomly door knocking would be cold outreach. Okay. So these answers are great. What I more meant was the modalities that you can utilize, or the mediums that you can use. So on the phone, texting, email, direct mail, and then we could add in door knocking or DMing on Instagram, on Facebook, etc. In other words, I don't know that this is the best term, but you're kind of chasing. You're kind of chasing business. Okay? Now, for me, what has worked best for cold outreach are three things. And one of them I'm not even going to spend a whole lot of time on today because we've talked about it a lot on these, and you can go find lots of examples. But two of them I'm going to spend a lot of time on. Email, text, and direct mail. Postcards, note cards, letters. those 3 cold outreach have generated for me a ton of business in the last few months, the last year. I looked at my numbers. I'm not saying this to boast or brag. I'm saying this to justify the fact that what I'm sharing does actually work. Since September 1st, I looked this up last night in preparing for this, and actually in preparing to record the shorter version for my guy Oren of the 3-step plan for closing 50 transactions. Since September 1st, I have closed 13 transactions. I have taken, I need to confirm, it's either 6 or 7 new listings, and I have 7 more in escrow, 7 transactions in escrow. Okay, since September 1st. We're getting close to, what is that? It's 3 months, a little less than 3 months. What I shared last week plus this week has been a vast majority of those transactions. Vast majority. I think all but 2 of the closed, pending, and active. All but 2 of them were from either last week, the 3-step plan that I shared, or this week, the cold outreach and the warm inbound. Okay? So I'm just sharing that for context. Warm inbound leads. How can we generate warm inbound? And there is some overlap here, I'm being honest, but just so we're on the same wavelength here. What are ways we can generate warm inbound leads? People that are filling out a form requesting something. In our case, and today what I'm talking about, motivated sellers who are most often or most repeatedly filling out a form looking for a cash offer. What are those different ways that we can get those? Again, my nose. It's chilly here and my nose is running. Go ahead. Who was that? Facebook ads. I'm going to make it even. I'm just going to call it. I'm just going to say meta, because that it's kind of one and the same. Meat ads, meta ads. Perfect. What else?
Landing pages.
What's that?
Landing pages.
Well, that's where they would go to fill something out. But how do we get where can we get them from? In other words, like what are the sources of those warm inbound leads? And it could be specific or generic. Shay, go ahead. Sorry.
Google PPC.
Google PPC. Absolutely. Love it. What else?
Instagram.
Yep. So Meta is Facebook and Instagram. Facebook and IG. We'll put those both in there. But yes, absolutely. 100%. What else? Any else? What are we missing here? Warm inbound would be referrals. Yeah.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. Yep. So referrals, word of mouth. Okay. All right. What else?
Paid lead.
Paid lead providers. This is a big one for me. Paid lead providers. And I'm going to share part of the resources that I have to share with everyone includes the 5 sources that I am either, some of them I'm actively using, some of them I have used with success, and I'm not actively using for one reason or another, but 5 that I've used this calendar year that have all at least turned into one sold, pending, or active transaction. Okay, so like not like I can speak to at least just for myself that it has turned into actual business for me, and I'm going to give you all of those. Are we missing any? Those were the ones that I want to keep it moving along here because I'm already maybe drawing this out too much. I think we covered the basis of them. Okay, so
I might have one more.
yeah, go ahead, Reynaldo. Go ahead.
Maybe any idea that will come from AI.
Okay, we'll put AI here. AI. Well, actually, so you know what? Here's how we'll cover that. AI/organic, because so AIO, instead of SEO or AEO, is it AEO? I don't know, but you can get warm inbound by positioning yourself as as someone that shows up organically when someone goes into Google and searches sell my home fast for cash, right? So absolutely. So, and you could do that, and more people are using different, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini for that. And so there are strategies for that. I am not an expert in that, though I am doing what I can here or there to help ensure that if someone in my local market goes and seeks that out, that I'm starting to show up on that. And maybe we'll try and find, if you're an expert in that, like, hit me up so we can bring you on and help everybody in the mastermind here. All right. Now, let me share some cold outreach examples that have turned into either appointments, or I'm going to share a couple that have turned into multiple transactions. So yesterday, I actually spoke to Stanley this morning. If you were on my live stream, I spoke to him on the live stream. He was a character. He got me early on in the call. He was like, I didn't know if I was going to be, if I was going to make it. Because I asked him, he's got a 2-unit. And I asked him what the rents were. And he didn't like that question. I was getting in his business, he said. But I backtracked, and it ended up being all good. And I think Stanley and I hit it off. Stanley responded to this cold text. And I'm calling this a cold text because I don't know Stanley. He doesn't know me. All I know is that Stanley owns a multifamily property at that address. And I know that there are some signals of distress. I think the list of people that I was sending this to, and I could go, if we have time, I can go confirm, but it was multifamily owners that had at least one of the following distress signals, quote unquote: tax delinquent, pre-probate, involuntary lien, and there are 2 or 3 other, or maybe 2 other buckets. So there was, here's what I know about this bucket of people that I sent this cold outreach to. They own a multifamily property and there's some level of distress. So Stanley, now this was a layup. Okay. I'm sharing this one to give you an idea of what can happen. They're usually not this much of a layup. Okay. One thing I didn't share here is the cold outbound or cold outreach. This is skill based. You have to be skilled to make this work. Okay. Now you can very quickly get the skills. I'm not saying that skills are not something you're born with. You can very quickly get the skills through reps. Like if you want to get better at anything, you just need reps. Right? My point is you have to be skilled for this. Warm inbound, you don't have to be that skilled. Now, you'll have more success the more skilled you become. But speed to lead is what's most important on warm inbound. And I know you've heard that before. You've heard it from probably, dozens of other coaches and gurus, etc. But I'm telling you, without question, if you're spending money or the time and energy to generate these warm inbound leads and you don't call them within 60 seconds or less, you are literally lighting money on fire. Don't do it. And I'll illustrate how easy, like these conversations with warm inbound leads, you don't have to be, you have to have some skill, but you don't have to be like super skilled. And I'll give you the exact script that I use on these when we get to the warm inbound. Okay. Cold examples. Here's how I know when I'm getting excited. I get spit on my microphone. It's just the way it is. Anyway. I'm so excited. I think I got spit on my laptop. Anyway, this is a layup. It does not happen that often, but it can. He just said yes. So the outbound script was, hey, Stanley, would you consider selling your property at street address to a private client of mine before the end of the year? Thanks. He said yes. Again, layup doesn't often happen. I said, got it. Thanks. Would you have time for a quick chat later today or tomorrow morning to confirm? And I had a grammatical error, but like that happens when you text people. I said to confirm and details that should it should say to confirm a few details about the property, regardless. Anyway, he said tomorrow between 9:30 and 10:30. I called him at 9:45. It actually was like 9:55 because a warm inbound lead came in literally at like 9:45. Let me see here. I can tell you exactly when it came in. 9:48, but I was running behind because of the live stream. So I called that lead, and then I called Stanley, and I would say that like he's in my pipeline. He's not going to be ready to accept an offer until January, but he's motivated. One of the 2 units is vacant, and he has there's some distress signal. That was a layup. This one, not. Same script. Hey, Brett, blah, blah, blah. Who is asking and why? Right? Like, okay. This is Josh with eXp Realty, and because we have several private clients looking for multifamily properties, ideally to purchase before the end of the year. Why before the end of the year? I'm not just making it up. They could, if they close before the end of the year, they can take accelerated depreciation and save on taxes. A problem that I'm trying to solve for myself as well. Like I'm negotiating on a 4-unit myself that I want to close before the end of the year so I can take the accelerated depreciation so I don't have to pay so many taxes on the gross commission that I've generated since September 1st. I mean, all year, but really a lot since September 1st. So he then goes on to give me some information, and we are chatting this afternoon. He said, I will call you tomorrow to ferret out the details. Is that like, I knew what he meant. Is there anybody on here who has literally no idea what he means, ferret out the details? I knew what he meant. But I mean, there's probably some people on here who are like, that does not sound like English. If he doesn't call me, I have him on my list to call before 3:00. I have an appointment. If he doesn't reach out to me before then, I'm going to reach out to him. And I will reach out. This is all happening through my cold outreach engine, which is just a white label version of Go High Level that I use for cold outreach. But when these communications, like Stanley, I called him from my cell phone. And then after the conversation, I texted him from my cell phone. It was a blue text because I have an iPhone and he has an iPhone. I shared my contact. I thanked him for the conversation. And I have a note to myself, a reminder to myself to follow up with him, not next Monday, but the following Monday, just to see, because he was like, he still was a little bit on the fence timing-wise when he'd be ready, but he thought maybe we could go check it out, not next week, but the following week. It was weird. He was very taken aback when I asked about how much the one tenant is paying, but had no problem, like, is totally open to me going and checking out the property whenever we can hook up. Anyway. This one was a little bit different and unique. Crap. I'm going to go off of this one. I don't want to show a phone number and get it like I'm trying to avoid getting these things flagged and so forth. So I texted, and I'll just walk through. The husband, they're now either separated or divorced. I'm assuming. Because he said, call Tiffany. I looked it up. The owners are Jacob and Tiffany, same last name. And then he said, probably don't mention my name, just kind of play dumb and say that you looked it up on public record. Like he was even giving me the playbook to reach out to Tiffany about this property. So something must be going on, which again is the reason why, or a reason why I was reaching out to begin with, because I know that they own a multifamily property and there's some indication of distress, okay, or motivation, all right? And James, feel free. I know it looks like maybe if there's anything in the chat that makes sense to interrupt me or intervene with, I get going here, but don't hesitate to interrupt. Why do I have this one on the screen? There's no reply here. Well, I'm glad you asked. This one I sent on 11/5. And Steven called me. I'm looking at dates here because I want to be factually accurate as much as I can. I sent it on the 5th. He called me on the 8th. He never replied to the text message. He called me on the 8th. Great conversation. He was definitely open to selling, and he's having health problems. It's he and his sister that own it. I spoke on the 8th with him last Tuesday. Yeah, the 11th. I toured the property with the sister. We've been going back and forth, back and forth. I was legitimately reaching out on behalf of a private client, which, by the way, that interested private client I generated or I connected with using leaddeck.ai. I'll take a quick side note to tell that full story. And all of this is documented on my morning live streams because it's literally me just doing the work of, the 3-step plan that I shared last week and this stuff. I got a portal lead on one of my listings. I can't remember if it was homes.com or Zillow. It wasn't a paid lead. It was my listing, and they reached out wanting more info. So I called her, and she was looking on behalf of her parents who were looking to downsize. We had a wonderful conversation. Literally, the whole conversation is on the live stream probably 2 months ago now, the live stream that I've been doing in the morning. I go and look at the property. For several reasons, they wanted to and kind of needed to sell it off market. They're aging. The husband requires full-time care and pretty much has he's got a hospital bed. It's a whole setup in the house. They've got a big, loud dog, a German Shepherd. They just can't accommodate showings, traditional showings. So I used leaddeck.ai to do outreach to try and sell it off market. Which, by the way, I'll button up that. We have it under contract off market, and we have under contract. It's 2 of the 7 that I said are pending in escrow. Both of those are under contract settling on the 12th. Their home that they're selling and the home that they're downsizing into. That's not the point of this. The point of this, in doing the outreach to try and sell it off market, I connected with an investor that told me, okay, and this is step 3 of last week's 3-step plan. He told me, I'm not really interested in that ranch home, but I'll look at any multifamilies in these 3 cities. So he was the reason I reached out to Steven and used this script. I was doing cold outreach to try and uncover off-market opportunities for Chad. The more I talk to Steven, the more I go look at the property, I'm like, I think I want this for me. So I didn't even let Chad know about, don't tell Chad. Just kidding. I didn't even let him know because I want it. And we verbally have an agreement. Steven's just been sick. So I don't have it under contract yet, but we have a verbal agreement, and I'm fairly certain that we'll end up buying it before the end of the year. I'm sorry. I keep having to wipe my nose because it's cold here. 2 more examples on the cold outreach, and then I'll pause. We'll take Q&A specifically on cold outreach, and then I want to pivot to the warm inbound. These 2 examples are from August 5th. Stephen White. I'm gonna give you the punchline, and then we'll unpack this. Steve, I have now sold 2 of his properties, closed transactions. He's looking at another property. He's using some of the proceeds from those 2 sales. So I'll get that. We're not under contract yet, but he's actively looking, and he wants to buy something before the end of the year. And he's referred me another client. It all started with cold outreach. Hey, Stephen, would you consider selling? By the way, once again, this is the second grammatical error that I'm sharing here. You don't have to be perfect at this stuff. Like you can screw up and still have success. So I have, would you considering selling? Anyway, I've since fixed that. Would you consider selling your vacant land at street address or, in this case, it wasn't a specific number. It was on Boots Hollow Road to a private client of mine. I do have a nice 4-acre plot, perked and probed, ready to go. We had this text exchange. The pivot, right? Here's what you have to do on cold outreach by text or email. The email that I use for cold outreach, it's exactly the same. The subject line is for James, RE, the street address, and the email is, hey James, would you consider selling your vacant land? Blah blah blah. It's exact same thing, right? Except it's formatted like an email. Okay, and you got to have a subject line, and I put a signature file. But you're trying to get them to raise their hand and then strategically pivot to a phone conversation or an in-person appointment, right? Now, I will also tell you that I've done business with some of these on cold outreach, and it was just by text because that's the way they wanted it. And I'm not going to force somebody to, to get on the phone with me if they don't want to. Sometimes they self-select. So I think Steve actually called me from the text message. I just didn't realize it was him, and then we ended up talking. You can read all this. And by the way, I'm going to give you, with the replay of this and all the resources that I'm going to share is going to be in the school community later today or tomorrow morning. I'll have the slide deck. I'll have the other resources I'm going to share in a minute here, all of that. So you don't have to like copy this down or anything like that. It'll all be in there for you. Okay. So this is one that is 2 closed transactions, 2 more possible, a referral and him buying. Here's another one. And this is a lot. So I'm not going to unpack all of this, but this is Donald. He goes by Butch. His reply, he went right for the jugular. I said, would you consider selling your land? And he just said 100,000. That was his reply. And so I asked some clarifying questions. We ended up on the phone. Both of these have now left me rave reviews on Google. Butch even mentions in it pretty much that I never liked real estate agents, but Josh is awesome, pretty much. And he's told me that in person too. So this one, and for those of you wondering, because I don't know, maybe this is just me, but you may be thinking like $100,000 for land, okay? And you might be right, but here's how I structured that. I actually got paid $7,500 to sell this lot as the listing agent. Okay. And I have in the resources, I'm going to include a document that has the Loom video that I sent him that I then took and turned into a PDF proposal, which is how I got that. Not only that, but I have his sister's land for sale as well. Their parents owned this land. They subdivided it and gave one of each. They split it in 2, and they gave each of them a parcel as inheritance. And so I have his sold. Sisters, we're still working on selling it. And he has a cabin that I'm going to sell for him at some point. It might not be until next fall. They might end up wanting to use it. But again, multiple transactions from that. Okay. Multiple transactions. Questions about, we're not ready for that yet. Questions about cold outreach and what that looks like and how to make that work. And we can just keep going, and I can pivot over to the warm inbound. Going once, going twice. All right.
This is good. This is good.
All right.
Deep, Josh.
All right. Well, thank you, Reynaldo. I appreciate it. Okay. So that's one approach. Warm inbound leads, different approach. Now, here's the plus and the minus. The cold outreach doesn't cost much, but it does involve more of your activity, and you do have to have data and a way to send the cold outreach. Now, you can make it work by sending 1-to-1, but there are limitations to that, the amount of volume of activity you can create. Warm inbound leads cost a lot more, but don't require as much of your time. Like I don't actively do a whole lot to manage this lead flow. And let me just give you, I'll show you how. There's an example of this at the end of this morning's live stream. A warm inbound lead came, okay, on my phone. I don't know why I just showed my phone. Oh, look at this. That somebody just replied to cold outreach with their sales number. Look at that. What? Oh, okay, hold on. Before I get to what I was going to close the loop on, I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna try and keep this conversation. So this is real time. Okay, I'm trying to block. This is real time. This guy replied at 11:30. He literally just replied. Hey Brian, here's the text that I sent him. Hey Brian, would you consider selling your property to a private client of mine before the end of the year? He said 370. Now, before I make a judgment on whether that's an insane number or in line with reality, let me pull up some information. Because he might just be, you'll get some funny stuff too. If we have time at the end, I'll share one that was that was a combo that happened yesterday that had me laughing and the guy on the other end laughing. And it's a good reminder, like, just have fun with this. Okay, this is the right guy. Yeah, 265 is the AVM on it. So he might be I don't know, a little bit out there with that, but regardless, got it. Curious, how did you come up with that number? And can you confirm how many units it is? Because I'm not sure from the info I'm finding online. So I am going to send that, and we'll see what he replies. And I was talking to tech, so I'm just cleaning it up because it didn't have it quite the way I wanted it. Okay, so that also illustrates a point of, that there's pros and cons with everything, right? Like there's pros and cons with every pillar of business. There's pros and cons with every type of client avatar that you want to work with. There's pros and cons with like everything in life, right? There's pluses and minuses. So to make cold outreach work, you have to have somebody that's on top of it to keep the conversations going, so that when somebody responds, which is what you're trying to get from the text or the email or the direct mail. It's 4 one-bedroom units. Okay, interesting. Are they all occupied? Question mark. That makes it more interesting. I don't think he's super, like, it's still maybe a little bit aggressive on price, but regardless. Anyway, you got to be on top of it. That's the point. Now, warm inbound. The con is these cost more. The pro is I'm not chasing. This is someone who has taken the time to go either respond to, I got another cold reply. And it's a good one. So I need to keep going on this, but then I'm going to circle back on that during Q&A time. I'll share that one. The con is the cost. The pro is they are seeking our help. Okay? They're seeking our help. They're going to Google, or they're on Facebook, and they're either going to Google. Okay, so the best ones for this are when people are directly seeking a solution. They go to Google and they're typing in, I need to sell my house fast. Meta ads can still be good, but that's still interruption, meaning someone doesn't go to their Facebook news feed looking for a cash offer on their property, right? But they will go to Google looking for a cash offer on their property. Okay? So like Google those Google search leads, whether you're doing your own, which I am now doing. I have an agency that's running Google pay-per-click ads, so that we have our own pay-per-click funnel and pipeline. But I also use some of these warm, motivated seller lead providers, PPL, and some of them use Google. Some of them have other ways, but the dynamic is different, okay? The big picture is the dynamic is different. Cold outreach, you're more chasing them. Warm inbound, they're chasing you, or they're at least coming to you with intent, okay? They're at least coming with you with intent. This document, I'll drop the link to this in the chat. It will be with the replay as well, but I'll drop it in the chat. This has 5 sources of leads that I'm paying per lead or paying per month for right now. And I'm either actively using them or I have at some point this year, and I'll explain which ones I am or am not currently using and why. Also, I have a full bonus, like a 75-minute bonus training and smart campaign templates, etc., that I'll happy to share with anybody who is interested. Just email me, or actually, I'll put that with the replay also, so I don't have to, I don't want to miss anyone's email. So I'll put that bonus, all the bonus stuff that I'm promising here, it'll be with the replay of this. Okay. Here are the ones that I'm using currently. Motivatedsellers.com. And by the way, these hyperlinks here, they are affiliate links for me. So if you use them, I get credits. It means I can get more leads, etc. But I want to be clear. These are all, I'm either actively using them or have successfully used them to turn, not just to get the leads, but they've turned into actual closings for me. In fact, this first one on the list, 2 of the first 10 leads that I got, I listed. One sold very quickly. The other one took a while, but we got it sold. The one that sold quickly, I didn't meet the seller until settlement. All of the conversion happened by text, email, and phone number. And I wouldn't have even, I went there almost so I could, I wouldn't have had to go, but I kind of wanted to go to actually meet him and whatever. But it is very possible I could have done the whole transaction without ever meeting the seller. I have closed from motivated sellers leads. I know for sure 3 closed transactions this year from them. I'd have to check if it's more, and I could log into the account and check. This one, number 2 on the list, is newer to me. I just started using these in the last 60 days or so. They have lots of different lead types and ways that you can get them. They have like a marketplace, so you could just create an account and you could go in when you want leads and look to see if there are any available in your area, and you can buy them one off. There's lots of different ways. If that's one you're interested in, you have to do a demo. Okay, it's kind of a pain, but at least you have a better idea. And the links there, all of the hyperlinks for that one, you can go and schedule a demo. This one, so number 3 on the list, fast home offer leads. I've had a lot of success with them. I just don't, the lead flow in my market is very, very minimal. I haven't had many at-bats with them, even though I'm trying to buy the leads. Okay. Number 4, Z buyer seller leads. Now, this one, you need to understand, they are less intent. The way Z buyer generates these leads, they're lower intent. Their motivation might be a little bit lower, but they also are relatively cheap compared to the other sources. So again, there's pros and cons with all of these things. Okay. So for me, I am paying. This one is a monthly Z buyer, at least the way it's working for me. I pay a monthly fee and they send me leads. And I still have closed some transactions this year from those Z-Buyer seller leads, but you need more of them to get the motivated ones, right? So it's a trade-off. You get more for less, or the cost per lead is less, but the conversion is, it takes the cash to conversion cycle is either longer, or you also get some, just very transparently, there are some of these that I call them and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't request a cash offer, whatever. That does not happen. That does not happen with these leads, or very, very infrequently. Yeah, somebody say something?
Quick question.
Yeah, Shay.
Where are you finding your best ROI with these?
I'm going to answer that, but I'm also going to say this. I'm going to put a giant asterisk. It will vary by market, because there are so many variables on this. And so my answer is, for me, this year, motivatedsellers.com. Okay, that's my answer. However, your market may have way more competition for these leads, because all of these platforms, except for Z-Buyer, the first 3 platforms are like an auction platform. So, Shay, if you want cash offer requests, if you go to motivatedsellers.com and you want cash offer request leads for your primary county, because they're usually county targeting, if there are other people already bidding, it's an auction style. So if you want to be number 1, you have to be the highest bidder. Okay? So there's just a lot of factors that go into it. So if you're going to test these, you got to start with one and figure out, and then decide, do I want to test one? Like, I can't guarantee that answer will be the same answer for you, Shay, or anyone for that matter. But that, for me, that's the one that has had the highest ROI. And in fact, maybe if we have time, I'll probably log into my account and see. I can look and tell, how many have I listed and sold already. The last one on the list, this is one that it's not a platform in a marketplace where you bid. It almost seems shady. I will tell you right up front. Like, their website is terrible. And the guy will, he has his phone number there, but I haven't been able to get on the phone. He uses a Gmail address, but the leads are good. I don't know what to tell you, right? So, it's a little bit of a risk. He has 2 levels or packages, and it's kind of pay as you go. So if you say, I want, I pick a city. Well, I don't know. I have it wrong here. It would be a county, not a city. I need to edit that. And whichever, you can start with the $1,000, or the platinum plan is $2,500. The gold plan is $1,000. And when you get the leads, he'll send you another bill. He'll send you another invoice. And if you want another batch of them, you pay. And if you don't, you don't. No big deal. Now, a couple of things on these, and then I want to open it up. I have some more replies. I got another one. This guy said possibly. So you're telling me there's a chance. All of these lead providers have some type of refund policy. And if you're going to spend money on these leads, you have got to take advantage of the refund policy. Each one has their own sort of way of handling it. But for example, motivatedsellers.com, their refund policy, I'll just bring it up for an example, and then I'll tell you how simple it is to request a refund through them. Right here is their return policy. Okay, these are viable reasons to request a return. And literally, you just go into the portal, you say dispute, and all you have to do is provide some sort of information or evidence. So, for example, if I get a mobile home lead, that would be a mobile home on leased land. which, by the way, I sell those too. So here's the thing. Don't tell them. I request a refund, and I'll still try to get the listing. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I pay them enough money, right? Like their leads are expensive, but all I have to do is say dispute, and I'll either take a screenshot of like in the MLS or even Zillow, like whatever I can do that shows that this is a mobile home on leased land. I upload it, and usually within 24 hours or less, they'll just credit it back to your account so you can reuse the money. If it's listed, slam dunk. Like I put a screenshot of the active listing in the MLS. Duplicates, wholesale, whatever. A lot of these, I would say for me, the two that most often come up as refund opportunities are these two, okay? But there are other there. Each of them have their own, and you need to be ruthless about that process because they're expensive. Like, don't be wasteful. They're expensive, but they're good. Here's how easy the conversion is. And again, you can, if you go on my YouTube channel and watch, it's like, if you go like the last 15 minutes of today's live stream, maybe 20 minutes, I call one of these leads. It's as simple as this. James, you would play along? Ring, ring.
Sure.
Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hey, is that James?
Yeah.
James, hey, it looks like you were on one of our websites and had filled out a form looking for an offer for your property at 123 Main Street. Is that right?
I filled out a bunch of forms.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, it looks like literally you just filled it out on our site about a minute ago.
Okay, that one, yeah.
Do you have any idea how much you're looking to get for it?
$1 million.
Okay, so James is not playing the role of a motivated seller well. Here's my experience. When I ask that question, because they have sought out the solution, at least 80% of the time, they tell me a number. And usually, it's one of two things. Okay, it's one of three things. Sometimes they're like James. Very, very small percentage where they'll throw out like an unrealistic number. Usually, it's either retail value, which I'm okay with. Look, I know you requested a cash offer, but I mean, I would just as much, I'm happy to take the listing. Okay? Or I'll give you last night exactly. So this guy, Joseph, he fills out a form last night. I call him. I think I was driving one of my kiddos to work out or something. I call him, ring, ring. Hey, is that Joseph? Yep, it's Joseph. I did the thing. It looks like you filled out a form on our site. Any idea how much you're looking to get for it? He tells me that there's $50,000 in liens on the property. So we go back. So he didn't give me an actual price. Okay, he didn't give me an actual price. So my next question is simply, can you tell me a little bit about what you got going on there? And usually they'll say, like, do you mean the property or what do you mean? I'm well, the property, and what has you looking to sell? So he starts telling me all this stuff, getting into details. It was his grandmom's property. She deeded it to him before she passed. He's not living there anymore. He was telling me what's wrong with it. He tells me that it was under contract, but the person didn't perform. It was a wholesaler that was just trying to daisy chain it or whatever. He tells me all this stuff. And so I come back to, okay, all of that said, if we could get you a cash as is offer and settle fast, what do you think the best you could do on it is? So he finally tells me 70. Okay. Now these are low numbers. 50,000 in lien, 70, meaning not he doesn't want to net 70,000. He'd like to put 20,000 in his pocket. So I'm driving around during this, And when I'm back at my laptop, I pull up the property. The ARV on it is 200 plus. So that one I'm going to look at tomorrow at 1:30. Okay. And, you know, I don't know if I'll bring an investor in. I don't know if I'll do it. But when I present to these folks, because I'm licensed and we have a fiduciary responsibility, I will present, here's what an off-market cash-is offer would be. And it might be me or it might be somebody else. But I also present to them the 7-day stress-free home sale. We could sell this cash as is on market. Okay, we can put it on the market, but only make it very clear that we're selling it cash or conventional only, and we're selling it as is. And I have in the resources with this, because this is already longer than, not this part, but I want to get into Q&A and so forth. But with the resources, I will include a document that has 7, 8, 9, 10, something like that, Loom videos of me presenting or proposing those options to the seller. So when I meet with someone like that, I follow up with three offers, quote unquote. It's really 2 offers and information. So offer 1 is cash as is, off market. Number 2 is cash as is, on market. Number 3 is, because I want them to, I want to be as transparent as possible. Here's what I think it will sell for, fully renovated, on market. So they understand what the full picture is. So I'm not trying to steal the thing. I'm not trying to skim their equity or anything like that. I'm giving them the goods. Okay. Now, that was a wholesale price property that need renovation. But a lot of these leads are very motivated, but nice houses. Okay. I had one. I actually sent over a proposal to him earlier. Motivated. It came from, I think, motivatedsellers.com or my own Google pay-per-click. I can't remember. I could look it up during Q&A if it doesn't really matter. I went and looked at it yesterday. Monday afternoon. $800,000 2-year-old property. Literally new construct, 2 years old, $800,000 property. I'm pretty sure, I'm going to help him. We're going to list it and sell it for him. And he wants to downsize to something. He just can't afford the payments. He's got equity though. He's got like $250,000 in equity. So we can sell the property, right? And we can get him into a lower payment. So I illustrate that to point out that it's not just cheap, crappy houses that you'll get through these portals. In fact, I would say that the ones like I described, you get fewer of those than you do that are actually nice properties that people just don't want to have the hassle of what they perceive a traditional listing to be, and just want the end result, right? Like they just want they just want it sold quickly to the highest and best bidder, basically. So questions or anything that we can clarify about any of what was shared. And
Josh, I've got to bounce in just a minute, but I got a quick question for you. With your 7-day stress-free listing, I see that as a whole lot of risk and a lot of investment with, pictures and everything. I mean, is that just something to get in the door, honestly, and get investors in and see if you can get, like the cash offers AI and get all that handled to one of your investors and then go from there? Is that kind of what you're looking at in this scenario?
I will only present that if I am very certain that I can get it sold. And also they all sign at least a 90-day listing agreement if I'm doing the 7-day stress-free home sale. So It is literally just to differentiate myself. And I have a growing amount of evidence of properties that I've sold. And so people ask, what is the 7-day? Well, the way it's whatever you want it to be. But when people, if the consumer gets, like if they get into the weeds on that, my case studies, I'm saying these are properties that we've sold over the starting price in less than 7 days on market. And I think I have one example in there that was 8 days. So I'm highlighting, this is why I'm saying the 7-day. Now, here's how this works. And I have this all broken down, and I'm working on putting this into a more making this something that anyone can take off the shelf and utilize for themselves. Like, meaning I do this. I've been working on this for long enough that I can pitch it, but to be able to then transfer that offer so that someone else can take it off and run. But the way this works is everything works around a weekend that we're going to get the property sold. And we work back from there. We need a 5 to 7, maybe 10-day window where we have the market or the property on the market coming soon. We're building, what we're trying to do there is building waiting list. We're trying to create some some pent-up demand for the property. We will then allow showings for a finite window. And that is, we can work on what that looks like for you depending on the situation. If the property's vacant, it's freaking easy, But the last one, I had one that we closed on. This is a perfect story for this topic. So we settled on Friday. He responded to, I had sent him a cold outreach text message. Hey, Jerry, would you consider selling your property at blank address to a private client of mine? That was probably in August. And in fact, this is such a good case study. I'm going to record a separate video with the entire text interaction and the entire timeline of this. So Jerry replies, we're going back and forth. It takes me several weeks to get an in-person appointment with him. For whatever reason, he wanted to meet for coffee. I think he just wanted to see, am I legit, right? So we meet for coffee. We're still going back and forth. At the coffee meeting, I learned that he works a ton of hours and he works third shift. So that's why his communication is sporadic. It's not that he was ghosting me or whatever. It's, Doreen, enjoy, learn, love it. Doreen's headed to Fast Attract. And I know, Shay, you said I'm sorry. I got to speed it up. Okay. So we end up going back and forth, right? I finally get an appointment and I tour the house. Okay. And I present him with a cash as is off market offer. But look, I have a fiduciary responsibility to him. I've also built some rapport and relationship with him over this time. I said, look, here's what we should do, Jerry. Let's use my 7-day stress-free home sale. And let's see if we can beat that cash offer on the market. His schedule's crazy. We did a coming soon window for 3 or 4 days. We allowed showings from 2 to 7 on Friday and 12 to 9 on Saturday. That was it. We sold it. The best cash offer as is was $123. We sold it for $152. Oh, by the way, for cash as is, no inspections or other contingencies. Do you think he's happy? By the way, if you're wondering, I got 4%. Okay? So anyway, and that was all from cold outreach. And now Jerry loves me or whatever. He was very happy. Very happy. He's going to leave me a rave Google review, etc. Right? So where Shay was asking, what was he asking? The 7-day. He doesn't want to waste a lot of time and energy, right? Now, if the property doesn't fit that mold, well, then I'm not gonna pitch that. Okay. Like when I take land listings, I'm not pitching the 7-day stress-free home sale. You'll see in the proposals that I'll include with the replay of this, my proposal is not the 7-day stress-free home sale. My proposal is, here's how I'm going to market your property differently than or better than other options you may be considering. And you'll see those in there.
Josh, I have a quick question for you on your 7-day approach.
Yep.
Are you leveraging a platform?
No.
Or are you just okay? What are you leveraging? Okay.
So I have in the past, I have found for me that ended up creating more friction than it was worth. Here's what I mean by that. As much as it seems to be easy and remove friction to use a platform that someone can easily go make a bid, in my market anyway, I just would get inundated with real estate agents. I don't understand how this works. I can't register. How do I make an offer? Blah, 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 blah. No matter how much instructions and video and whatever, it just was more hassle than it was worth. Now, there is a version of a platform that once they re-release the updated version of it, it'll be included with fastcashoffers.ai. Once that is re-released, I will try it again in my market. I just found for me, like, if you want an offer, you're going to write up an offer. You're going to go through the full dog and pony show, because as crazy as it sounds, I just found, like, for me, it was easier to just make agents jump through that hoop than to try and make it easier through an online portal to submit offers. Cheryl, I'm assuming it's Cheryl Smiley and not Smiley Cheryl. How are you getting your cash offer price? Is it a bona fide buyer estimate or comp? I will say it depends. Okay? It depends. Sometimes it is one of my, I'll call it pocket cash buyers, meaning a guy that I know that will go and give me, like, I've got guys now or gals in almost every, I'm in Central PA. I cover pretty much all of 717, which is like 8 or 9, 10 counties. I cover pretty much all of that. Okay. It's more of a rural area. I can get almost anywhere in that 10 county radius in an hour, maybe 70 minutes or less. Right. So I don't love the outskirts, but whatever. I have legitimate cash buyers in almost every inch of that area that I could and some of them, I'll just send them without me. I'm not suggesting you should, but like I have enough rapport and relationship with some of them now. I'll send them, they'll tell me their number and they'll either tell me, work in your commission on that or however you want to work that. That's option one. Option two is I'm making the offer. So the 4-unit, Steven, I thought I was going to be bringing in a private client. I'm talking with Steven. I go look at it. I'm like, I'm going to make the offer. And then if he doesn't like my offer, my backup plan is, okay, well, let's get multiple offers. Let's get it on the market. That didn't happen there, but that's my backup. The other option is I will use, if or when necessary, the instant cash offers they're the institutional buyers that are baked in to the fastcashoffers.ai platform. So you have to be skilled at pivoting off of those. But it just depends on the situation or scenario. All right. Have I ever used iSpeed to lead, Celeste? I personally have not. I've heard great things about them. They're not on the list because I haven't personally used them. So I don't have anything good or bad to say about them. I've heard good. I've never personally used them, so I'm not referencing them. George, do you still use street text or listing to leads? I don't use street text currently, but I have nothing bad to say about them. I love the guys at street text. Love them. I just don't personally use them currently. I use listings to leads all the time. growwithjosh.com/L, the number 2L. growwithjosh.com/L, the number 2L. Let's see here. Thank you, James, for sharing the school community, which you can join for free. Where did you get the leads, Cheryl? Great question. My Plus leads is what I use for FSBO and expired data. I will tell you, I am not a master at either of those pillars. I'm not terrible. I get some business from them, but I'm not a master of them. The data, all of the example cold outreach that I was sharing are neither expired or FSBO, or at least if they were expired, that's not why I was reaching out to them. In other words, like it may come up that they had previously tried to sell and went expired, but that's not why I was reaching out. James shared his link to Lead Deck. You all should check it out. Oh, that was you? Okay, whatever. Listen, looking. I mean, it's all good. LeadDeck.ai is something a buddy of mine and I have built. He's the developer. I'm the guy that tells him it'd be really cool if it did this, and I'd really like it to do this, and how about we make it do this? And I unpack that on last week's session on the off-market matchmaker masterclass, which is the deeper dive. That's also in the school community. But I am going and finding targeted audiences that have some indication of distress or motivation. This is what I'm talking about, like cold outreach for motivated sellers right now. Okay. So the examples that I showed, the text message examples that I showed, which I'll bring them back up here. I'll give you what these buckets were. And I'm not suggesting, by the way, I'm going to leave this up here. For those of you, I wish I would have had this up before the top of the hour. Nothing for sale here or anything like that. But I would be ever so grateful if you took the minute, literally a minute, to take a little survey specific to this session and future sessions of these mastermind. So you can scan the QR code. You can go to growwithjosh.com/cold, or you can text cold to that cell phone. It's just a Google survey. It's literally 5 questions. It'll take you probably 30 seconds, not even a minute. So that's what you can do to help us grow this and bring topics that you guys are interested in. These cold text examples, this audience was multifamily owner in a specific area that I have, that either I'll make an offer, or I have anywhere from 3 to 5 investor buyers that they'll make an offer. Like this Stanley guy, I would have at least 3 guys that would go look at this afternoon if he let us. He just wasn't ready for that. Multifamily, indications of distress. So here, why am I not doing this? Go to leaddeck.ai. You can create a free account. Go to leaddeck.ai or use Lawrence's link that's in the chat. Lawrence gets free credits if you use his link, and I'm all for it. The more, the merrier. And you can create a free account. You can get 100 free credits. If you want to play with targeting, all I got to do, dashboard, new seller target, and let's say I want to find, I'm not going to pick my area. Let's make this interactive. Somebody give me a city or a county or a zip code where you might want to find or uncover some potential motivated sellers.
60634.
60634. Okay. Now, I can go, let's say, inherited. Okay, inherited. Wow. How populated is 60634?
Everybody's dying.
I guess, man, you must be in a densely populated area. Okay. So what happens if I got 387? Well, I need some sort of engine to run this. Or let's say I want a smaller, more targeted audience that I will personally reach out to. Well, I don't know why you still have to do the refresh here. But if I hit refresh, 60634, now I can layer, whoops, right here. I click enable enhanced or premium filtering. I can say I want inherited and they're delinquent on taxes. 0. That's weird. Inherited and involuntary lien. It's thinking. 3. That's small, but that's targeted. These are people that they inherited a property and there's some involuntary lien on it. There's a mechanic's lien. There's some kind of other lien, not a mortgage. There's some kind of other lien. It could be an HOA lien. I don't know. You would know better in your market what would commonly be a lien. Let's go inherited and I don't know. Notice of default. I have no idea. Yeah, 0. Let's go inherited. I don't know. Tired landlord. You just kind of play around with this, and you can get small targeted audiences of people that if you reach out to them, these are a smaller list like that. I would text, email, but I would call them too. I would have no problem calling them. Hey, James, this is Josh. I know this is pretty out of the blue, or I might even say, I know I'm calling completely out of the blue here, but I'm wondering if there's any chance you would consider selling your property at blank address to a private client of mine before the end of the year. I would absolutely call. If I've got a smaller data set like this, I would absolutely call. Okay. We could play around with this for the rest of the day. But that's how you would find targeted lists. So let's face it. I'm not trying to discourage you from going after for sale by owner and expired listings. I'm not trying to discourage you. But if you're not very skilled or you don't have some very unique value proposition for them, it's a tough road to hoe. These other audiences, they don't have every other real estate agent going after them. Now they may be getting hit up by wholesalers. I'm not saying they're not getting anyone reaching out to them. I'm just saying they don't have, an expired listing, depending on your market. When they go expired, the next morning, they may have 20, 30, 50 realtors calling them and emailing them and texting them, right? That's not happening with the majority of these targeted audiences. How much do credits run?
A domain page for that?
What's that?
Do I need a domain page for that to make the landing page?
No, you're not using a landing page.
Oh, okay.
No, you're just doing the cold outreach to get them to raise their hand. Yeah.
Got it.
Some great questions here. How much do the credits run? So, Julian, right now, credits are 1-to-1 for like the regular pricing. That enhanced feature where you can stack filters is 2 credits for every one. So if I wanted to pull 9, it'd be 18 credits. Coming very soon, we will have 2 subscription levels where there will be some additional functionality. You can purchase credits at a discount. You get credits for each renewal period, etc. But it will always, even when we add that, you can still always have a free account and pay as you go. Always. That won't ever change. What data do you get with the leads? Well, Mike, let me think here. How can I show this without getting it flagged? I'll answer it a couple of different ways. Number one, it depends. Okay. It depends. Number two, when we use, so very transparently, we use the same data that PropStream uses. And we have the same skip tracing functionality, and we've built in enhanced or premium skip trace functionality. So to run a credit, so let's say I have 10 leads. Actually, I'm just going to do this. I'm not going to share it, or we'll cut this out or whatever. Reynaldo's here. So I'm going to, what was this? It was involuntary lean. Okay. So I'm going to check the lead count, and I'm going to create the target. Okay. And once I've got a target, it's under lead target. When I run now, notice I get this notice. It says I'm going to run these credits. Okay. So it's going to work to try and, it's going to add these. Look at this. So that fast, I went from searching for them to saving the audience to running it. And if I go to my deal deck, I've got 3 properties. Okay. I'm going to show this real quick, and then I'm going to pull it back. Okay. Maybe not. Maybe it's not. There we go. Okay. So right here, I get, depending on the contact, I have multiple phone numbers and multiple emails. Hopefully that was fast enough. Now, let's say the normal skip trace didn't return a lot of data, or it was like one phone number and the phone number was no good. I can, for an extra credit, do enhanced skip tracing right here. It's an extra credit. That is using let me break down. For those of you that are analytical, the normal skip tracing is based upon name and property info. The enhanced skip tracing is based upon credit report details. That's pretty ninja. I will tell you that for me, particularly when I'm doing the buyer targets, the regular skip tracing is great. So if I'm pulling a list of cash buyers, so I do, let's say I'll use the lead from last night. Okay. In fact, I'll do this here. I'm going to use another example. So the lead from last night is in a very rural town in Perry County, which is a very rural county above me. I think there's 1 traffic light in the county. I think maybe 2. Okay. If I want to find the active cash buyers in that city, I can put the city and state here. Check the lead count. There's 11. What does that mean? There are 11 investor buyers that own in their portfolio at least 5 properties and have purchased at least one of them in the last 3 years cash. Now, it might not actually be cash, but there's no recorded mortgage. They might have used a line of credit or a private money lender or something like that. There's no recorded mortgage for this. If I run this list, I will get names, emails, and phone numbers. And when I hit this list, you can watch. I've done this many times on my live streams. I do this live. I did it live last week for a property that Tom gave me. We talked to Abel. It was like the second call I made. Answered the phone, was the right person, and he went from and I don't know if Tom ever connected with him. He was not a great one. It was like I don't know. There was some shifty stuff going on there, but whatever. My point is the data is generally pretty accurate. Where I use more of the enhanced is on the seller side, because those people, if they're in distress, they're more likely to have phone numbers that have been shut off. They're more likely to be kind of on the run, trying to duck, paying their bills, things of that nature. And so I'll pay for the enhanced, because if I'm the one that gets them on the phone and can provide them the solution that they're looking for, others probably aren't going through that. Cheryl, does it do the DNC for me? Yes. It will tell you if the number is on the DNC or not. It'll say it right with it. It'll literally right next to the phone number. I think it's in blue. It says DNC if it's on the DNC list.
So I got a couple questions.
Yep. Go ahead, Vern.
Credits on the credits, like if it finds one person, is that one credit?
Yep.
Or if that person has 3 properties, is that 3 credits? Or does it come up that way? Or does it just come up?
On the buyer side, or what do you mean?
Like if it's a seller. Like for the sellers, and say you got a seller and he owns, so you do the absentee landlord and they got 2 or 3. Is that 2 or 3 credits or 1 credit because it's one person?
That is a good question. It's 1 credit. I need to double check with Sean, but you're paying by contact data, not mailing address.
Okay.
But I do want to verify with Sean. I know you can't. If they show up in multiple saved targets, the system won't let you run a credit twice. In other words, if you pull a list and in your example, the absentee owner, they have that you already pulled their info on owner occupant data, it won't credit it twice. But I don't think, I'll have to double check if you pull and they own 3 absentee owned properties in the same, say, city or county or zip code. I'm fairly confident you're just paying once for the contact data, but I want to double check with Sean. We haven't had that question before, quite honestly.
What does it? Are you able to find info? Because I know a lot of the absentee owners are like LLCs. Are they own like an LLC?
Yeah, that's pretty easy. So let me, yeah, 100%. 2 ways. Number 1, that may be an instance where you do the enhanced. Number 2, if you're really trying to find somebody that owns a property in an LLC, let me give you a hack for this. Most often, unless it's a big corporation, okay, if it's a local guy that's trying to be savvy, or gal that's trying to be savvy, and they heard, I got to put these properties in my LLC, 90% of the time, the mailing address for the LLC is their primary address. And if you just then look up their primary address in True People Search, or you can do the skip tracing. I don't think I've ever even talked about this function on Lead Deck. Maybe he took it out of here. No, let me think here. There was a way. He might have pulled it out for the time being. Maybe it's under dashboard. Maybe he pulled it out. I'll have to double check with him, because he had built in a way that you could skip trace in here, similar to True People Search. But I mean, True People Search, if you have somebody's address, you get some pretty good data from that. Yeah.
I got one more kind of related question. What does your contact sequence look like, particularly like if folks are not responding right away, and what do you use to keep up with it? That's something I struggle with. Like, okay, this person didn't respond. I know I need to call them back. Like, what's the sequence look like? Where you send in?
What's the person?
Email, text, and call.
What's the person, or who's the person? Meaning, like,
It's a call. Like one of these that you guys look around, like an account, right? I got the info. They don't respond right away. Like, how often are you responding or trying to reach them, and what means are you doing? And then where are you keeping up with all of that? Because it's like a lot of contacts.
So it was skipping out there. We're talking about reaching out to potentially motivated sellers.
Yeah. So you got a motivated seller. They don't, and you send your text, and they don't respond. Like, are you doing a call? at the same time? Are you sending an email at the same time? How often are you reaching out? Like,
if it's a big bucket of data, I don't care. I send out one and I get enough replies. Like literally while we've been on this session, because I have a list that's being communicated to, I set it up on Monday and I'm sending one text and one email to this list every minute between 8:30 or 9:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. until the list is hit. This one literally just came in. If the price is right, that's if I've got a big data set. So it's two different use cases. If I've got a smaller, like that list that I ran for Reynaldo, it's 3 people. Well, I mean, I'm going to really treat it like I'm trying to get in touch with this person. So I will call them multiple times. I will text them multiple times. I will email them multiple times. I'll send them direct mail. 2 different use cases. So like, I don't have one blanket answer for a lot of this stuff. And I'm not, this is not to, I'm not picking on you or anything at all, because I am this person and I've just recently gotten over this. Like, most of you just need to do way more volume than you realize of everything. Just way more volume. Volume overcomes skill, and overcomes luck. So like, the more you do, the more you'll find what works for you and the more opportunities you'll uncover. And also, today's session, I want to go back to the beginning. For me, this session is how I go from 51 to 100 transactions, not from 0 to 50. So like, if you just do last week's, I promise you, if you just do last week's, and I'm not yelling at you, Vern, I'm talking to everybody here. If someone just does that and you did it every day, you did it twice a week. That, what I outlined there, you do it twice a week for 60 to 90 minutes. I promise you, at the end of 90 days, you will be so busy, you have no idea. You'll be saying no to business because you're so busy. Because
what's the name of the school community?
Leads, listings, leverage. Leads, listings, leverage. We'll drop it in the chat again. Go back and watch last. So here, I'll bring it up here. So I have a short version of that 3-step plan. Like, if you want to decide, you can use that to decide, this is something that I would like the deeper version on. And then if you want the longer version, go to replays in the school community and the 11-12 replay. And then if you're like, I kind of like this, I think this is my jam, go back to classrooms, go to the bottom, and then go through this, the off-market matchmaker masterclass. That's an even longer version of the process of me walking through, how do I find a deal to use as bait? How do we do the outreach to the investor buyers? And then what do we do when we get the investor buyers? And the reason why I'm doubling back on that, or another reason why I'm doubling back on that, is it will help you get clarity around the question you asked me, Vern, and others, if you're wondering. When you have a client that you know is ready, willing, and able to make an offer, you're going to be more motivated and have more clarity around the people that you're doing the outreach to. In other words, like, you will have built-in motivation to actually get into conversation with them because you know what to say and you have a solution. Most of our resistance in this business, in talking to people or making offers, is that we don't actually believe our own bullshit. What do I mean by that? If you reach out to a for sale by owner and you ask them, this script works. Okay, this script works. Hey, Reynaldo, is your property that you have listed for sale by owner at street address still available? Yes, it is. Great. If I brought you a buyer, would you pay me a finder's fee? That script works. If you can't bring them a buyer, you're effed, because it is really hard, unless you're really skilled, to convert that from, I just promised the for sale by owner that, or I just got them to say that they would pay me for the solution they want, which is a buyer. They just don't believe that I can bring enough value to list with me. Okay? I don't know if I'm illustrating this point well enough. My point is this. It is way easier. That script that I shared, this script, okay? I can confidently send this script and confidently talk to these people because I actually have the thing. I'm not pretending to have the thing. I have the thing. It's not pretend. And so I can communicate with more confidence and clarity. I don't, and also, I did a long form post on Facebook and LinkedIn around this. When you have a pipeline that is just full of opportunity, you just don't care. And when you just don't care, I'm telling you, you're more attractive to the people you're talking to. And I don't mean you don't care about providing service, etc. I mean, you don't care about the outcome. You're not living and dying with every yes or no, or every, potential appointment. When you're, and again, Vern, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to everybody, but you just happen to ask a question. I am talking to you, but I'm talking to everybody here, and myself included, reminding myself. When you have a full pipeline, and when you have solutions, and when you have just clarity around what to say and how to say it, etc., that just all of this becomes exponentially easier. And a lot of the questions we ask ourselves about this, that, or the other thing are centered around not having the clarity on those things, and not having the confidence and the belief that you can actually deliver the solution for the person. And I say that, and I still fight with it too. Right before this, I recorded a proposal to send to a possible listing, and I know I can sell it, but I still had some disbelief about can I actually sell it for what it, it's one of those ones where I think I can sell it, but it's kind of a weird situation. It's this big house on big lot, but it's on a busy road, and it's like this weird thing, right? So I probably did not come through as confident as the one that I send, yesterday, where I know I already have the solution for them. I know for sure I can either get it sold or bring them an offer this afternoon. I don't know. Man, oh man, this is going way too long. I don't know if any, I might just be, I might just be delusional right now.
Can I, actually, this is great stuff, but can I ask, does Deck, it's called Deck
Lead Deck.ai.
Does that replace PropStream?
Maybe. I don't have a blanket answer. So if I want to pull big batches of data, I still use PropStream.
Okay.
If I want to pull targeted audiences that I'm going to go deep with, 100% that's Lead Deck. 100%. Okay. Yep.
Thank you.
So, yeah, the answer is it depends.
So I did, I downloaded and paid for Swiped Leads, and Lead Deck replaced Swiped
Correct.
Leads.
Yes.
And so do I just continue to log in and it's new, or do I need to download something new?
I would create a new fresh account at leaddeck.ai. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Thanks.
Good question. And for anybody that was using Swipe for Leads, the billing and all of that was shut off weeks ago. We just found that, we just live and learn. That was our first attempt at it, and Lead Deck, the way that's structured and set up, is just way better. Yep. Do you call from your cell or a secondary number for cold calling? My cell phone. And I don't do a ton of like the cold calling I do is mostly on the investor buyer side, the cash buyers, the landlord buyers, et cetera. And that's still cold calling, but you're calling because you have something that they want. Like you are like we already know that they're active investors. And so if I'm calling with a deal, even the ones, here's what happens a lot is they're like, I'm not really, send me what you got. Like literally, they're like, I'm not really in the market, but like they can't help themselves. You know, they're the guys and gals. I keep saying guys and gals, but you get what I'm saying. But the people that own a bunch of properties and are actively buying, they're always looking for more. And that's a good place to start. And one thing leads to another, So I'm going to end on this because I appreciate you all spending. I mean, I need to get you back to work. And Tom, we got to build your ads. We got everything ready. So I'm going to regroup for like 10 minutes. And then if you're still available, I want to hop back on Zoom and we're going to build your ads. So here's what I'm going to finish with. Last week's plan and this week's topic. It's just to get you in momentum. I'll share a story. I said some of this story earlier. I'm going to unpack it all. Well, quickly. The off-market ranch house, the older couple that can't accommodate showings. We wanted to sell it off-market. I used that as a reason, as bait, to do outreach to active cash buyers in that market. I think I called 6. Picked up 2 of them that gave me their exact buy box. I'm not interested in this. This is exactly what I want. Okay? Set that over here. We sold the property off market. Well, it's under contract, off market. Another agent brought us the deal, bought us the buyer. Okay? That's what it is. They are then now buying another property. Okay? Then I've got these other 2 guys that I'm using as reasons to reach out to the buy box, the owners of properties with the buy box. My point is, you just got to get going. Like I'm telling you, like you. Again, I'm talking to myself here more than anything. But we want to see the end of the path. You just got to get going on the path because you never know where the path might lead. One of the guys I called, I promise I'm ending on this. I got a motivated seller lead, okay? Warm inbound motivated seller lead like 3 Mondays ago. I call the guy, real motivation. Turns out to be an absolute turd of a property and a deal. Who cares? Because I then used that as bait to call cash buyers. The second guy I call, we're like long lost buddies. He'll go make an offer on anything like that I send him. And also in the conversation tells me what I'd really like is a 30 to 50 unit apartment building in this area. He's currently underwriting 2 different properties that I sent him. I am not in any way, shape, or form going to assume that he's going to buy either of them. And also, if he buys either of them, that will instantly be my cap for my EXP renewal. Instantly. The whole thing. The cap, it'll one fell swoop. Again, I'm not assuming that's going to happen. But like that was one conversation that started with a motivated seller lead that ended up being a turd. I don't want to list it. I don't want anything. I sent 3 people over there and they're like, this place needs to be bombed. And anyway, you just never know. Just get moving, get in motion, create momentum. You just never know where it'll lead. Jeez, this might be our longest session ever. Tom, hop back on in 15. I'll text you the link to Zoom. Beautiful. So I'm going to share. I'll summarize later this week, either on the live stream or something, what I'm building for Tom as a pipeline of opportunity that for anyone who may be interested in partnering with us, we can do the same for you. And then I should have had this up the whole time. I'm still figuring out what to do here, but I would greatly appreciate it for anyone who is on here. Scan the QR code, go to the link, text the link, it's literally 5-question survey. It's a Google form. It just would help us, make these even more valuable and see who else might need some specific help. Thank you all. I'm going to take a 10-minute nap and then hop on with Tom.
This was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Joan. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Recording.